Lang Park surface as well as most of the players would. From the Brisbane area, that is. And play underway. Craig Salvatore it was, kicking off. Prop forward given the duties.
Yeah, very surprising that.
And the Broncos back inside their own quarter and rolled into touch. Gene Miles with the ball, but the penalty has gone to the Broncos.
Well, it looks as though he's called this tackle, but on replay they've continued and just rolled him into touch. We'll have a look here as Beecroft comes in over the top and they continue and roll him over the tackle. I thought that was fair.
Well, the Broncos on their own 22. Terry Madison going into dummy half. James Donnelly plays it back out to Mark Hone. Brisbane haven't been defeated at home this season. In fact, they haven't been beaten at Lang Park since April of last year.
You see Bruce Sinclair getting up very gingerly there.
He got a bad one, Arthur. I can see the whites of his eyes.
Gavin Orr picking up the Langer kick. Orr coming into the team for Matt Burke, who was forced to pull out. Having a run, Michael Cook. Just short of halfway. And now sprinting away is winger Mark Prothero. Marshall in at dummy half, gives it to Salvatore. Good strong run. He beat the first tackle of Gilmister, but couldn't get through the next line, which was Hone with Donnelly. Marshall at dummy half. The Broncos up inside the 5. On the blind side, moving up too quickly. Gilmister at fault. And this penalty well within kicking range.
Well, this will be a chance here for Kurt Sherlock. As we have a look here, they're approaching the 5 minutes, especially on the blind side.
Yes, a little anxiety on the blind side, if not laziness, to get back with the referee. Wayne Bennett already has his hand on his head. I just wonder whether these players used to having a big crowd screaming behind them may just feel a little bit of a letdown. Certainly the Origin players might feel that way, but even the regular Broncos who weren't out here on the field on Wednesday night must just feel a little bit of a letdown when they don't have a huge 25,000 crowd behind them. Kurt Sherlock to attempt the goal. Only 28 metres out, just to the left of the uprights. And the flag's down, waved away. So the score remains 0-0 after 3 minutes.
Well, there's no need for complacency on the Broncos' part. They lost both their the reserve grade and the under-21s.
And there's the scores in the under-21s. East defeating Brisbane by 36 points to 20. And in the reserve grade match, another win to the Roosters, 23-12. Just inside the Broncos' half. Sinclair hitting it up, runs into some strong defence from Madison and Gilmister. Now it's Salvatore, very close off the dummy half. Over the advantage line he crashes. Switch of play to Vaughton, out to Sherlock. On the angle is Hall. Hall still going. Good run from Brendan Hall. Leaves them sailing in the wind. Still going. That's a great run from Hall. Mark Hone missed him badly.
I thought he could have outfloated there. They had the numbers on the right.
Marshall running from dummy half on the last tackle. Keeps it alive. McGann puts it ahead. Shearer back there, well positioned, but in trouble quickly as the defence coming through on him. Salvatore there with the centre, Terry Hill.
Well, that's the start East wanted, Warren. A good couple of sets of 6 then, and showing the benefit of angle running, Brendan Hall was able to strike through the defence.
Saw some great running there also from Craig Salvatore. Bruce Sinclair at fault there as he failed to get off the tackle player. We've got a friend of ours in hospital, John.
Yes, a man that can eat nearly as much as you, Arthur. Dougie Fryer, the president of East Leagues Club. Good on you, Doug. I hope you get well very soon.
Well, a win for East would certainly help his recovery as Madison takes the tap and Andrew G goes straight and hard. Hone calls for it. Just looking at the records for and against this season, Brisbane with a much stronger record in attack, 138 points versus East 81. As Langer hits it back to the blind side, G standing out wide, and against, well, you can see East struggling in defence compared to the Broncos, and that's reflected in the table with the Broncos equal 7th on 8 points, East running 13th on 5 points. Back goes Prothero to gather in the kick. Runs straight back into Kevin Walters. And Chris Johns there. Or coming from the far wing to help out in amongst the forwards. Hill. It's Terry Hill, the controversial figure in the draft. And it's alleged that his contract will potentially earn him something like $310,000 over the 3 years of the contract length. Here's Vaughton straightening it up. Couldn't get away from the tackle of Donnelly. Sherlock puts the kick through, and well judged, well taken by Shearer on the burst. Willie Kahn. Dale Shearer has to produce a big game today because Paul Hoff, out today after injuring his shoulder in the Origin match, gave Shearer his chance. Shearer originally coming back from injury after a groin problem in reserve grade, and Dale Shearer has not been producing the kind of form that he's capable of this season. Hasn't pleased Wayne Bennett, so he was in reserve grade.
It should have been a penalty. Mark Hayne, either he's disorientated, but he was facing the sideline there when he played that ball, and referee Eddie Ward not doing anything about it.
Last tackle, Madison kicking from dummy half. Waiting back there is Cook. Runs straight into Johns, and he doesn't miss many tackles. Ball and all, well held. McGahn using the runaround. Spinning out of the tackle is Prothero. Brisbane up inside the 5 again. Vaughton takes the quick tap. Good work by Vaughton. On they go. Miles was backing up. Vaughton may have called for the ball, and Miles, in fact, was never back the 10.
Yeah, Fatty taking on Gino there, and Gino was at fault giving away the penalty originally. Gino and Mark Hayne encroached the 5, and Fatty, to his credit, took the... Now it's within goal kicking distance.
Beecraft will kick for touch, though.
You've had a couple of new kickers. Salvatore the kickoffs, and Beecraft's got a huge boot on him. He's taking the line kicks.
Is that your tactics, John?
Well, they are the best kickers in the club, Arthur, at their respective jobs.
Mark Murray up in the stand alongside Jack Gibson. As Hall met solidly there. Good hit from Hone. Sherlock. Salvatore. On it goes to Hill. Beats one tackle. Going strongly is Terry Hill. Taken by Walters in the end. Only 10 metres out. Marshall from dummy half. Finds Beecraft. Beecraft only a metre short. Good defence there by the Broncos to hold on as East right on the attack. Vaughton popping the little kick through. Back goes Willie Kahn. Plenty of chase coming as well, and Kahn forced to shovel it over the dead ball line. That was a good chase from Cook.
Well, he did well there, Willie Kahn. He also had about 3 men there to cover, and he had the pace to, as you see, Brendan Hall coming through. But you have a look on the outside, there's plenty of guys there giving chase.
A good chase from Cook, and also Prothero wasn't far away from the ball either. Put the pressure right on the Broncos, and they're back, about to drop out from between their posts.
They're looking very well at the moment, John. They're holding the ball and keeping the pressure on the Broncos.
Yeah, I think that's the key early, Arthur. Good control. And the defensive line's been very good also. But if we can keep working the Broncos over, I'm sure there'll be a chink in the armour shortly.
Right in centre field, 25 metres out, it's Vaughton. Good strong running by Vaughton. He looks very keen today.
He'd love to get that maroon jersey on again. That's his big goal.
And McGahn steps out of a tackle and keeps it going to the 12-metre mark. On the blind side, it's Vaughton again. He's got Sherlock with him. Big hit coming in from Madison. Only a glancing blow in the end. Almost caused some trouble. McGahn.
Good running there, but he had to delay that pass and cut out Sherlock. They had a 3-on-2 situation.
Yeah, he should have dropped it behind.
Marshall's kick across field on the last tackle. Kahn waiting underneath it. Takes it beautifully. Willie Kahn.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, Willie Kahn. He's playing great football at the moment.
And there's Shearer taking it into the forwards. Broncos back in their own quarter. Territorial, it's all east at the moment. G on the edge of the ruck, meeting some heavy defence coming in. Salvatore and Beecraft. Langer on the blind with Walters. Sherlock grabs him. Also Deacon there.
This is where a little wary because they can run the ball from anywhere on the paddock. And they'll try and get around your edges if you drop your wingers back.
Last tackle, the Broncos on their 22 with Langer trying the little kick. It's been taken beautifully by McGahn.
That's a miraculous take there by McGahn. There was a hole in behind the line there. Langer tried to put the
They're still alive with Sherlock here. Sherlock looking for support. Vaughton went back inside when he had an overlap out wide, but it came off for him with Sherlock finding the hole. Still numbers out wide as Vaughton goes ahead. The defence had managed to get back and regroup. On the open side, it's Sinclair. Only a couple of metres out. Plenty of pressure here on the Broncos. Sets of 6 mounting as Marshall goes from dummy half. Last tackle, but he's lost the ball. The referee says Marshall lost it, that the Broncos didn't pull it out after he was held.
Well, John, it's the most I've ever seen Paul Vaughton involved in a match so early in the game.
Yeah, he's getting involved. 2 out of every 6.
We have a look here as Wayne Marshall just tries to pop that ball out the back there.
I think he should have let it go wide then.
A little bit selfish there. There's nearly a ball one against the head there.
Very luckily, the Broncos just managed to get it back after it was in the East second row for a moment. Chris Johns. Johns worked very hard for New South Wales the other day, just like that, taking it up in amongst the forwards. The penalty, though, has gone to Eastern Suburbs against Johns, walking off the mark.
It's probably justified, but Chris Johns trying to get up quickly to play the ball. And if we have a look here, Dennis Beecroft, and I thought that was a tough call.
Yes, it did look a little tough. He, at most, moved a couple of inches.
If anything, I thought the penalty could have went the other way because they didn't release him.
I thought it was fair enough.
Totally unbiased comment. Sherlock to attempt a goal from only 20 metres out. Sherlock's first kick from a handy position missed. This is almost identical, really. The same position. Can he do better with his second attempt? Chips at it, and the flags are up this time, and East put first points on the board. They lead 2-0 after 12 minutes.
We have a look at this as Beecroft and Brendan Hall, but have a look at Beecroft as he fails to get off him, and Johns is trying to get up to play the ball. He's taken probably he's tried to pinch about half a foot.
Shearer to restart play. And waiting down there is the front rower, Salvatore. Very mobile, Salvatore, as, gee, that's a loose arm go over the top. Sherlock. Sinclair taking it up, but the defence from the Broncos meeting him solidly. Vaughton kicking from dummy half. Into the open space as it goes. Shearer coming across. Hancock going back, but the chase is very good from McGahn. He must be onside. And, of course, with Vaughton kicking from dummy half, most of the players were behind him. That's a great chase downfield by McGahn.
Well, that was the key, kicking from dummy half, and we'll probably see Fatty pop it in there more.
Hancock. There does appear to be a lack of urgency amongst the Broncos, but full credit to East at the moment. They're playing a solid brand of football. Here's Donnelly trying to take it up.
Have a look at the errors there. Missed tackles by Brisbane, 5 already.
Walters moving it wide out to Johns, but the defence swarming up on the outside. The loose pass wasn't knocked on by Walters. Last tackle, Langer. He doesn't really get a lot of length in his kicking, Langer, but at least it takes the bounce further down towards the 22. Picked up there by Cook. And he runs into trouble immediately. Gilmister and Kevin Walters down there to make the tackle. Gavin Orr running from dummy half. The metres gained so far as the penalty goes to Eastern Suburbs. Metres gained, 422 by East, well ahead of the Broncos, 293.
He's calling Andrew G out here. If we have a look here, as Gavin Orr takes that ball up there, and he's ripped the strip into the ball. It's not G, it's Chris Johns there, stripping of the ball.
May have been a touch unlucky. It seemed to come loose in the tackle as he was still well and truly on his feet.
It's a huge kick.
That is a good kick.
We have a look at Andrew G going in here, and Chris Johns it is, who just strips the ball out there. Obviously he's called held.
Tap taken by East, only 9 metres out. Hall to play the ball. On the blind side, it's Sherlock trying to cut back inside. Defence meets him. G there. Still plenty of runners. Vaughton met solidly once more by the defence, but they're only 2 metres out now. On the blind side, Salvatore almost through. Plenty of support coming through out wide as well. Beecraft. Back to Marshall. Spinning out of tackles, Marshall. Only a metre out. It's the last tackle. Vaughton wants it. Up goes the bomb. It's way too deep by Paul Vaughton. Well, that went not only over the dead ball line on the full, but over the advertising signs.
Well, it brought a big cheer up from the crowd. We have a look at this kick here, and Fatty just trying to put this ball in the in-goal area, but just a little bit too much weight on it. Just practice that a little bit more often, Fatty.
The breeze is behind us in this first half. Madison.
Another bad play of the ball there by Mark Hone.
Langer. Walters. Miles was standing wide, but it went to Shearer. Back to Donnelly. And he straightens it up. Good run, James Donnelly. Poor pass, though. Walters has it. 6 more tackles. It was knocked by an Eastern Suburbs hand. Willie Kahn with some room to move. Back inside, Kahn. That's better football from the Broncos. Started by Donnelly. Still with 6 tackles to come. It's Gilmister. Oh, he tried to slip it to Walters. It's been taken by Sherlock. And relief for East.
I think every team fears that, Warren. The Broncos, once they start a few offloads and start squeezing it out the back, they trouble all defences.
That was a good run by Michael Cook. Quickly off the tackle. He was right up there at the advantage line and over the top of it quickly before the defence really even got back to its mark. Vaughton looking a little groggy. Or is it pain that is showing on his face?
Oh, he might have a cork leg or something. He's something, or a knee.
As Hancock takes that kick well. And steams upfield.
He's pointing to his left knee, Paul Vaughton, so we hope he's all right.
Madison just short of halfway. Langer spins it out. They've got numbers here. Walters throws a dummy. Johnson's outside him. Still going, Kevin Walters. Just short of half, short of the 22. He's lost the ball, and East have it.
That's great work there by Terry Hill there, coming in over the top. I thought he should have put Walters in touch there, but he did the next best thing. He recovered possession.
Sinclair hitting it up. Marshall.
There's another tackle there to Mark Hone. That's 11 from Mark Hone and 15 for James Donnelly.
Beecraft, he's a rangy runner, the second rower.
An interesting story that he'd prefer to play for Queensland. He spent most of his early childhood in Queensland at Nudgee College.
Salvatore now. Sinclair. He slipped it to Marshall. Marshall and Langer. Langer comes across and collars him, scrags him to the ground. 24 metres out is the last tackle. They switch it wide. Hall running strongly, puts it ahead. Shearer across and just takes it as Hall arrives.
Strange enough, once again, that was just a little bit too much weight on it. They could take a leaf out of Alfie Langer's book and just drop the ball in behind the line. They're a chance of regathering.
So the Broncos back in front of their goalposts where they've spent some time. Johns.
And Paul Vaughton all right again as he makes that tackle.
Willie Kahn.
We have a look at the error breakdown there. 10 to Brisbane and 2 to East, but a lot of missed tackles there by the Broncos.
Chance for Renouf out wide here. But well tackled by Marshall. The hooker getting across, diving from behind. It's the last tackle. Walters with the kick. Prothero. Well, Arthur, it looks to me as if Brisbane are falling into New South Wales' trap. They need some big, heavy stuff from the forwards to get out of the 22.
Well, they haven't had much possession. As I said, they to East credit, they've kept possession, they've kept the pressure on, and they've just had to do too much tackling, the Broncos.
Vorton out to Hill goes. Hill trying to weave away from Renouf and Langer. Strong running.
He's a big lad, Hill.
Once
He'll be
they went
14.5 stone, Warren.
Once they went high on him, they were in trouble. Here's Beecroft. He gets it inside to Hill, and Hill scores in the corner. Well, Hill with one run, which made 20 metres, got the defence back pedalling, and then they kept the roll going. Good football from Beecroft, threading his way through the forwards, and inside him was Terry Hill, and he poured the strength over the line. Beecroft cutting back in amongst the forwards, pulling out of the tackle. On the inside was Hill, and Walters just couldn't stop him.
Yeah, we have a look here. Terry Madison there, he's just cutting in behind the ruck here, and Terry Madison, a poor attempt there, but a great offload, and too strong there for Kevy Walters there. Once again, here we see it on replay, just cutting back in off the side of the ruck, stepping off his left. Terry Madison not getting to, poor mark of defence. Kevy Walters, Terry Hill, much too strong for Kevin Walters.
Terry Hill, the Souths junior from Zetland, was signed with the Wests, or expected to play for West, but has ended up with Easts, and after all the controversy, he's playing some very good football. Gene Miles, the captain, will be trying to put some sting into the Broncos. Kurt Sherlock with a difficult attempt, just a few inches in from touch. The breeze behind him, and the breeze carries it away. He didn't allow for it. So the score remains 6 points to 0 in favour of East.
Well, the Broncos have had to do 75 tackles compared to East 62. Not a great deal of difference, but enough to indicate the score.
Arthur, that Beecroft got a real knack of getting rid of the ball, basketball style, a little bit like Gene Miles, but he's been having a fair bit of success this year.
Joe Kilroy and Brett Leman, fresh reserves for Brisbane, or at least I should say Leman is a fresh reserve. Kilroy played in the early game. The other fresh reserve for Brisbane is Brett Plowman. Or a dummy half. Well, that's a good start for Easts, just what they needed. Sinclair, good strong run.
It's proving very difficult to handle, Bruce Sinclair.
He's playing well this year, Arthur. I know you've got a habit of falling in love with your players, but he's really been one of our most consistent each week, and we'll appreciate this penalty.
Have a look at Gene Miles, the culprit there, as he failed to get out of the ruck area, and bad play by the Broncos captain. We have a look here, Sinclair, but it's Gene Miles slow to get up there, and he's holding on a little bit too long, but should have rolled out of the way, and Wayne Marshall really milked that penalty.
East have got 6 penalties to Brisbane's 2. Most of them have been fair decisions. Only 35 metres out. Hall turns it inside to Vorton. Vorton's made a good recovery from that leg injury. It's certain to leave the field. Sherlock. Salvatore on the edge of the ruck out to Hill. On it goes to Orr, but he's put it down. Picked up by Hancock. Across comes McGowan. Hancock steps away from the line, but he runs into Gavin Orr coming again.
Well, that's great work by Gavin Orr. He might have made the mistake, but he recovered.
Miles.
He's not short of enthusiasm, Gavin.
Police look to be a very enthusiastic outfit today, and the Broncos are going to have to pick up their level of intensity as Donnelly takes the tackle. Into East half now. Walters, long ball out for Johns. On to goes to Khan.
Yeah, the thing to fear about, I think, with the Broncos is when they string a few passes together. It seems to be contagious, and they push, and with their skills, they generally come up with the goods. So that's the one thing we'll be really keeping our eye on, locking the players up. Here's a big kick from Langer.
On the last tackle, Orr can't take it. That'll be 6 more tackles. Hancock has it. It's been knocked down and taken by East. Well, Hancock, I don't know whether he realised that he had 6 more. He should have, and Cook has come up with the ball.
He looked for the offload there, but that is a freakish take there by Michael Cook.
Hancock trying to keep the ball alive, but conceded 6 tackles, which they just come up with. Penalty goes to the Broncos. Now, is this another case of walking off the mark and not playing the ball properly?
Well, he's ruled here that I don't think he hasn't heeled the ball. We'll have a look here. He's ruled that he's just rolled this ball back. Well, what he's ruled, I think, that he hadn't got up, but how can he get up when the Broncos player had him pushed down?
Yeah, that looked like a pretty tough penalty. It It probably was technically correct, but a fairly tough ruling.
Well, that's probably tit for tat.
I'm flabbergasted.
And the Broncos are inside East 22 with G. Only 15 out now. Hone. 9 short. Tackled by McGann. Langer. Walters has a man inside. It's Shearer. Still only 10 out. Walters from dummy half. Back to Donnelly. Donnelly gets it wide. Khan decides to come back in. A long ball comes out for Langer. Trying to find a little hole, but a good tackle there from Sinclair. The last tackle, the chant has gone up behind the Broncos. The first time they've had something to really cheer about. Walters cuts back to the blind. It's the last. He's got to get rid of it. Miles will kick. Charged down by East. Deacon coming through on the ball. Back goes Willie Khan.
They're very lucky there because I thought that offload by Walters there was almost forward.
So the Broncos with 6 more tackles from the charge down. Sometimes you wonder whether it's worthwhile charging down the ball. But you never know what might have come from Miles's kick. Shearer. Gilmister. Ducking out of 1 tackle. Former Rooster will be keen to play well today. It's the last tackle now as the ball is on the ground for Shearer. Snapped out of the air by Salvatore onto Beecroft. Back to McGann. Great pass out wide. Deacon has it. Steps back into the defence though, but the hands from Eastern Suburbs today, you must have been doing some slips catching, John.
Tremendous skills shown by East there.
2 weeks off, Warren. It honed us up.
Yeah, they're certainly looking very fresh today. Sinclair. East leading by 6 points to 0. 13 minutes remaining till half time. Marshall.
Actually, our last start effort against Penrith, that was 32-6 on the scoreboard. It wasn't too bad an effort. And there's Sal. I mean, we've got to get involved.
Eastern Suburbs coach Mark Murray is recommending that Salvatore be considered for New South Wales selection as McGann kicks ahead. Hancock will go back, but the ball's going to beat them all into touch.
Yeah, good kick there by McGann. He had a couple of options there. He looked out wide to try and then faked the kick and then put the little kick up and probably gained 30 metres there. The head in the feed goes to the Broncos.
Time in possession. Brisbane 10 minutes, East 17 minutes. So you can't win football games if you haven't got the ball, and the Broncos are way behind in possession. They've conceded it a few times, and East are playing with good control, 6 tackle football. The scrum win to the Broncos, but they're only 5 out from their own line as Hancock takes the tackle.
Good tackle there by Michael Cook.
G. Andrew G, one of the Broncos who played on Wednesday night in the Origin fixture, along with Langer, Kevin Walters, Willie Khan, Johns, Renoff and Hancock. And of course Gavin Allen and Hoff out of the team, injured today.
Tremendous run there by Willie Khan.
Miles, Johns, Walters. Broncos will opt to run the angles and offload. Shearer wants the ball. Hancock decides to go himself. It's the last tackle now. Just inside East half. Langer, kick might be a little bit too deep. Well taken by Cook, but a great tackle by Langer. He's perfected that style of tackling. Some people object to it, say it's a bit too much of a Cumberland throw, but Langer does it so well, and it's legal.
That instance there, he gets pushed off by Prothero.
Chris Close recently was complaining that Alan Langer's style of tackling is virtually a trip.
Well, I was on the end of a Ray Price, and being a big man, not good landing on your face.
You got plenty to land.
The last tackle. McGann in centre field. This kick sending Shearer back into the in-goal area. It might have too much on it, and it does.
Yeah, they look a little bit loose there, the Broncos, as McGann had plenty of time from dummy half there just to pop that ball in behind there, and the ball just too much on it.
Terry Madison coming back slowly onside after receiving attention. G. 6-0 to Easts.
John, if ever they're a bit vulnerable, it's today. Gavin Allen being out, and they don't seem to be as strong as they were for a couple of weeks ago up front.
Yeah, that's pretty true, and I guess their preparation's been a bit disrupted with the state of origin, of course, and ours hasn't, so we've had a chance to pick up our enthusiasm and our freshness.
Good ball out to Johns, beautiful ball, Johns is through, Kevin Waller's inside him, the cover coming across, Johns realises that, slips a great ball to Shearer, Shearer scores, great try there, contrived by Kevin Walters and Chris Johns. That was superb thinking by Johns. He looked on the inside where Kevin Walters was looming up. He realised Walters would be taken by the cover defence, changed direction, looked outside, and there was Dale Shearer. This is just a great piece of football. Look at this ball from Walters to put Johns away. Johns into the hole, sprints through, great pace. Now Walters is on the inside, but there's cover coming. On the outside is Dale Shearer as Gavin Orr got pulled in. He went into Johns and that left Shearer clear.
Yeah, John Peard called, you can't relax a minute. There's 2 wide good balls here for Walters. Walters ball pulls in Hall here. Have a look at Hall. Johns goes through the hole. Fatty can't get to him. And we can see Michael Cook pointing to someone else to take so-and-so, but he missed that vital tackle there.
Dale Shearer went on the Kangaroo Tour, scored 6 tries in his 8 games, but all up, the last 12 months for Dale Shearer haven't really been the best. Hasn't been at his peak, but that showed his experience to back up and his pace. He can run away from anyone on his day, Dale Shearer. The banana bender and the Bronco looking on in admiration. Now Terry Madison this season has kicked 17 goals from 22 attempts. Pretty good record with the boot. But he hasn't been able to cement a first-grade spot, often coming off the bench, not getting 80 minutes as he would like. But he is the one goal kicker in this Bronco lineup that can be relied upon. This is a difficult one. He's kicking with the breeze coming down into his face, straight down from goalpost to goalpost, if anything. He moves into it, puts it out to the left, but it didn't come back at all. So it's 6 points to 4 in favour of Easts. 7 minutes till half-time.
Well, the Broncos are always dangerous when they go wide. 2 long balls. Fatty was a little bit slow there. Brendan Hall decided to come in. That opened the hole up. Terry Hill had to give chase. Cookie should have wrapped up Chrissy Johns here. A bad miss. Terry Hill recovered. Just a little bit too late to stop Shearer scoring.
And the one-eyed Wally Lewis in the stand watching. Now with the Gold Coast, watching the Broncos.
That was disappointing then, Arthur, because they didn't have numbers on it. It was just a foul up between Fatty and Brendan.
Well, Fatty was a little bit slow to move up there, John, and also but Michael Cook should have wrapped him up.
The Broncos back on their quarter line, but that try will give them some heart because they've been struggling in this match so far. They've been looking to get the ball wide in the last 5 minutes and came up with a try, resulting. A few people in the crowd urging Gene Miles to run a little harder. Langer runs straight into his opposite number, Kurt Sherlock. Miles with a big kick downfield. Really put his hoof underneath that one, but well taken by Cook. He's got Johns rounding him up like a sheepdog, and what a strong tackler Johns is proving to be. He really drives in with his legs and takes them ball and all and forces them back. That's how Paul Hoff was injured on Wednesday night.
See Jimmy Donnelly going in there. That's 21 tackles for Jim Donnelly.
Sinclair.
Big effort for a big man.
Easts have been off their game in the last couple of matches, but not today. They've had wins against Canterbury and Balmain this season, a draw with Newcastle, but then they suffered big losses to Illawarra and Penrith and seemed to go off the boil, but this is a better looking performance so far today. Sherlock with the kick. Bouncing around for Shearer. Shearer expecting Hancock to come back inside. I think Hancock stayed outside, and now he sets sail down centre field. Such an elusive run-up. Takes him a while to get where he's going, but he leaves a lot of tacklers strewn behind. They shovel it wide, out to Johns. Johns away from Deacon. Willie Cohen outside his man.
He didn't realise that Chris Johns could have sold the dummy there. He didn't realise his man had left him.
G gets a good ball to Donnelly. On to Madison, but he can't hang on to it. And falling on it is Salvatore, just as the Broncos were starting to put a few passes together again.
John, how do you rate that win? We have a look here on replay there. It was a tough ball for Terry Madison there.
Yeah, favours East just a fraction, Arthur. I don't think it's going to be of great importance.
Or held by Renouf. Haven't seen much of Renouf with the ball as yet, as the ball clumsily played back to Hill. Vorton doing a lot of work, one off the ruck. McGann. Defence moving up, forced them back inside. And that's a good tackle by Gilmister, chopping Vorton's legs out from under him. Sherlock decides he'll kick. Fairly short kick. Shearer waiting for it. Plenty of chases down there. Or just got him by a toe.
Have a look at the errors there. Brisbane still with a lot of errors there. 17 errors, 9 missed tackles. He's catching up there in that department, and a lot of bad passes there by Broncos. 5.
Really that handling errors. Kevin Walters tries to accelerate through the gap, but Salvatore with a good tackle. Switch it back. Change of direction for the Broncos. As Miles is wide, he's got Renouf there. Orr came off his wing. He took the chance. He made the tackle. Outside was Shearer and Hancock unmarked.
I think, Arthur, most of those missed tackles have been on Hancock. And when you get a bloke like him, his greatest attribute is to make people miss. And he does it so well.
Langer's kick straight down the throat of Cook. And he thinks about returning the kick for a moment. Not a good kick from Langer. It was really purposeless.
Yeah, well, he had a look there, and Darryl Shearer was perfectly positioned back there. He thought about the options, Michael Cook, and I think he made the wise choice. Sinclair
up the centre. Just talking about the records of these two teams this season. Of course, the Broncos are coming off a last start loss to West 17-16 when Kerrod Walters was sent off as Sherlock regathers the ball. But if you look at Brisbane's season, they've had wins over Manly, Canberra, Parramatta and the Gold Coast. Well, Canberra haven't been travelling all that well, or they weren't earlier in the season, so those wins aren't that impressive. Here's Terry Hill on the outside of Hancock. Hill leaving Hancock behind. He's got support inside. Hancock comes again. Backing up is Salvatore. Great back up, but great tackle by Langer. Last tackle. Brendan Orr keeps it going. Beecraft still the last tackle. They've got to get rid of it. Beecraft finally gets the pass now to Orr. Salvatore throws it out the back. Desperate handling here. McGann will decide to kick. No, he decides to run. Oh, great ball, but Beecraft can't handle it. That was a great pass from McGann. Last tackle, and the Broncos have come up with it. That was football at its best as they kept that ball alive. A little bit unlucky there, but a great tackle by Alfie Langer on Craig Salvatore. Wasn't that a great pass from McGann as well, with a big looping arm underneath to flick it up, and just a little high, otherwise Beecraft would have been over. Yeah, you're not wrong there, but I thought he might have just rubbered that ball and kept it in the in-goal area because everyone was out of position. Oh, I thought he was going to kick. Here's Johns. Donnelly up towards halfway. Good offload back to Walters. He gives Khan a bit of room to move. Prothero just manages to get to him. 6-4 in favour of East. Just a minute till half-time. Langer puts a little one through, and Cook misses it. Langer on the toe. Langer trying to get back to it, but East managed to reclaim the ball just in time. Prothero got back. Mark Prothero, good cover. Almost reminiscent of his Origin days, Alfie Langer. Ball just bounced away from Cook there. It's caught out of position here, but great work by Prothero there as he just recovers enough to dive on that ball. He just waits them nicely, doesn't he, Arthur? Yeah. They're tantalising. Yep. So East will just want to retain possession here. They're trying to score a try. Well, I think they'd be better off just keeping the clock ticking down. 30 seconds remaining here. As Sherlock's kick is touched, and Orr comes flying through on Hancock. Well, I'll get a couple of tackles in the Broncos. Renouf Seems to be a bit of groaning coming from the microphone on the sidelines. Gilmister.
Come on, fellas, hang in there.
4 seconds till half-time. The Broncos will want to put it up or try something. Langer shovels it wide. Walters has a bit of room to move. Redoff, good pass back to Miles. And the tackle made by McGann.
Top stuff, Huey.
So that is half-time. And Eastern Suburbs have come out firing, not daunted by the Broncos' reputations, not daunted by Lang Park. He's scoring first. The Broncos have hit back. But we've got a game on our hands here. It's East 6, Brisbane 4.
John Peard indicated.
Yes, I think that Bennett would be looking for a bit more work carting the ball up from Mark Hone and James Donnelly as well. Though Donnelly has put in a couple of good runs, Gilmister and G. They need to just get over that advantage line a little more, and also the marker work would have to try and get out quicker to try and stop East at the advantage line because they're pouring over it.
Well, Wayne Marshall is playing well there. He's darting from the dummy half, but a lot of the East game is built around just keeping possession. They do run probably 3 in every 5, especially in their own territory from the dummy half position, so their marker defence has to brush up a little bit.
Likewise, I'm sure that Mark Murray would be hoping that East could finish off the tackles, put a little bit more hit in the tackles and stop the Broncos unloading. Paul Vaughton back on the field for the second half, so it's good to see that he did recover fully from that knock. So play underway for the second half with Dale Shearer booting it along the ground, a bouncing kick down towards the goal line. Salvatore brings it back. Or in a dummy half, has a run.
John Peard might have had to go for the wet weather gear.
Well, John, what was the word from the dressing rooms? We can at least be certain that you've got Mark Murray's words. It's just a matter of whether you'll tell us.
Yeah, in the East room, Warren, we're concerned about the defence a little bit. We dropped off and we're not locking the ball carrier up. I think if you do that against the Broncos, you're in real trouble. So look for an improvement there, hopefully. I couldn't get in the Broncos room. I couldn't get past that security guard, but I did learn that Plowman's on for Hancock.
And it's the last tackle as Sherlock kicks downfield. And Terry Madison limping after he tried to charge that kick down. Plowman in possession of the ball. East up inside the 10 metres. They hadn't stayed 10 metres away. Plowman thinks about the quick tap. Salvatore shaking his head.
Well, I think he was definitely inside the 10 there, but Craig, I think he does contest a few of the referee's decisions.
So the burly figure of Brett Plowman wearing jersey 41 on the wing, and the lights are on, so you can tell that it is getting fairly dark here from those clouds above. Good run by Donnelly. Straight and hard. Hone running straight into Marshall. Good defence by Marshall. He got up quickly. 25 metres out. Langer, Walters, Miles is wide. But the defence very good there from Sherlock and also Hall. Quick play the ball. Walters, Gilmister.
Top defensive players for both sides. James Donnelly, as we said, with 22, followed by Mark Hone and Gino there for 16. And Bruce Sinclair leading the way for East with 17.
Madison's pass knocked down and Marshall has it. Prothero, or Cook I should say, losing the ball backwards. Now it's Deacon. And Deacon swung to ground by Andrew G. Steve Deacon to play it 5 metres short of halfway.
Wayne Marshall down and background there.
Played a good game of football, Marshall. Always busy around the rucks. Hill from dummy half.
There's Wayne Marshall down there, probably just receiving a little bit of a knock to the head.
Sherlock turns it inside to Sinclair. It's the last tackle. East 35 metres out. They've got men out wide. Hall one off the ruck. Spins the long ball out. Deacon can't handle it though. May have been a little low for him.
Yeah, Brendan Hall throwing his head back there in dismay there, but that ball just not quite enough on it. We'll have a look at that. Still catchable ball.
Crowd claiming East were up inside the 5. Plowman's lost it. Vaughton goes back for it. He loses the ball.
Well, playing the advantage there, and no advantage there for East, but Fatty a little bit slow to back to recover that football.
And Vaughton getting to his feet a little slowly too, though he doesn't appear to be injured, but there just seemed to be a little lack of zest by Vaughton to get back for it.
Yeah, Plowman completely taking his eye off that football there, but he did well here as he forced the scrum.
He's a bit inconvenienced, Vaughton, by a knee injury at the moment. I think Jason Tassel might be coming on very shortly.
That'll be his debut, John, Jason Tassel.
He's had a few replacement games, Arthur, and played quite well. Very improved footballer.
They'll be all happy up there at Cairns. They'll be
one
watching
day.
Mum and Dad.
Here's Sinclair. Marshall goes into dummy half. Marshall, one of quite a few Queenslanders in this Eastern Suburbs lineup.
Well, that's right. You've got Jason Tassel there. He will be coming on probably for Paul Vaughton and Dennis Beecroft. Paul Vaughton, of course, and also Michael Cook.
And Wayne Marshall.
Wayne Marshall, that's right.
Warming up on the sidelines is Tassel as the kick goes up, but it's gone straight up. Salvatore has to turn around and it bounces behind him. Nobody wants it. Beecroft handballs it back. Vaughton says, I'll have another go. And Plowman chasing the ball out towards the corner post.
Paul Vaughton down there to lead the charge.
I think some of these players have seen lately the value of the very high bomb, the perfect bomb, which climbs high into the sky, gives everyone time to get through under it, but in trying to put them high, they're putting them straight up in the air in no forward direction.
Be interested to see which way this head and feed. He's ruled that the head and the feed's going here. You see there is Dale Shearer. I don't know what Dale was trying to do there.
It's an Eastern Suburbs ball on the chance to attack with Hall. Gets it out to Deacon. Deacon steps out of the tackle. Deacon's still going. He's got his winger there. Great tackle in the end from Shearer. Just manages to get him. Only a couple of metres out. Prothero has a go himself. Very close to the touchline. Beecroft has to go back for it. In the end, it's Prothero, is it, coming up with the ball? No, Deacon. Sherlock. East standing wide. McGahn out in the centre of the field. Vaughton goes across. They're working a move. It goes to McGahn, straight and hard. All the decoy runners were coming back towards Vaughton, but not McGahn. He was straight ahead. Last tackle. Vaughton one off the ruck. Gets into a little hole. Looks out wide. It should be a try to Orr. It is. A try to Gavin Orr. Good work by Vaughton. Stepped into a little hole, forced the defence to converge, and out wide were two Eastern Suburbs players just waiting for Vaughton to see them. He obliged, and it's 10 points to 4. Vaughton sees the little hole here, runs well. The defence hangs off him, looks inside, and out wide is Orr.
Well, strange enough here, I think they're waiting for Paul Vaughton here to put the grubber through, but he lays off, gets in behind the hole, and this is a perfect pass here to Gavin Orr. It all looks so simple, but that was a well-contrived play.
Well, you can see Michael Hancock come off his wing, or as a Plowman comes off his wing, and that it left the gate open, and Vaughton read it beautifully to give Orr the chance to score. Gavin Orr plays wing, centre, fullback, lock. Versatile player. His first try of the season. Sherlock. New Zealand's second dual rugby league international in, I think it's 43 years, and the ball's rolled off the mound.
One of the very, a huge number of rugby union kickers that we have here. Matthew Ridge
and they're all very accurate. This is a difficult one for Sherlock. Handy one if he can put it over. He thumps it solidly, and it touches the crossbar and falls in. Well, a touch of luck, and Jack Gibson gets a laugh out of that. It's 12-4 to East.
And here's the kick from Kurt Sherlock, just where he wanted it, on the top and over. Now, that was great play in the try by Fatty Vaughton, a master of judgment.
Master of deception too, the way he brought the defence in. So East's at 12-4, and a breakdown field by Terry Hill. Only Shearer in front of him. He takes on Shearer. Half away from him. He's still going. Hill down the touchline. Shearer comes again. Oh, what a run from Terry Hill. From one end of the field to the other. The Broncos trying to get back onside. East right on the attack with Beecroft. They'd be better moving it wide. The Broncos only just onside now. Marshall at dummy half. Sherlock. Hall. Salvatore keeps it going. On it goes to McGowan now. Back inside is Cook. Cook for the line, and Cook will score. What a magnificent try by Eastern Suburbs. It started by Terry Hill with a fantastic run down the touchline, got away from Dale Shearer, and then they swung it wide, and a couple of handballs knocked across by Salvatore and Cook, and finally it came back to Cook again. Sherlock, the long ball out to Hall, he keeps it moving. Salvatore handballed it on, as did Cook. It's like volleyball, and then McGowan sized it up beautifully. Inside was Cook. Cook in space, and Cook races away from Langer for the try.
Well, you call it just like volleyball. That's it too. The two wide passes here. They had them stretched here, and it's just a matter of just getting that ball. I thought that Hugh McGowan might have erred here, but he turned it back inside, and I thought Michael Cook wouldn't have had the pace there, but he's shown great pace there.
2 tries in 2 minutes to Eastern Suburbs. It's 16 points to 4. And look at this great ball movement. First of all, the orthodox passing, and then the volleyball that set it up, and Langer simply couldn't get to Cook, and didn't he slam the ball down for the try. Sherlock hasn't had a great deal of success. This is another difficult one. A little bit closer, but he's pushed it wide. That one didn't even bounce off the crossbar. 16 points to 4, and Johnny Peard, you must be loving it.
Very excited. Here's the run from Hill from the kickoff. Here's the entertainers on the rampage again. Here's Terry Hill round Shearer. Shearer comes again because he's got great pace, but Terry Hill with great strength managed to stay inside the field of play, and that was the key to that. Of course, the entertainers took over then.
I don't know whether you picked up whose tackles Terry Hill busted back up in the front line, but he left them on the ground grappling at him.
Yeah, that was poor defence by the Broncos there, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him bring a couple of players on from reserve grade, even though they were beat.
Well, Brisbane have got plenty of time. There's 30 minutes to go, but they're going to have to lift their effort because East are full of confidence now, and they've got the 12-point break as Andrew G is replaced. He may be a little tired after Wednesday night.
I think he's brought Brett LeMan on already.
Sherlock with the ball. Slips it to Salvatore. It was low and he couldn't quite get down to it, and if he had been able to pull it in, he was away. Sherlock getting the pass away.
We have a look there. The ball just a little bit too low, but it wasn't a bad offload.
About knee height to Salvatore. Well, the Broncos down by 2 converted tries as Langer has the ball. East creeping up inside the 5. The crowd entitled to have a whinge at referee Ward. Walters.
They'd boo Santa Claus, this mob.
Patterson gets it out to Donnelly.
Yeah, Beecroft getting through a lot of tackling.
Yeah, you had 22 on the board at half-time, Arthur.
Walters to Johns. Johns is outside his man. On it goes to Khan. Khan with a chance. Cover across. Shearer's inside. Shearer will score. Dale Shearer pulling up very suddenly. He was thinking about going around behind the post. As Beecroft came across, he decided better of it. So Brisbane scoring a try out of nothing. Chris Johns started it. Good work inside. Walters gives Johns a little bit of room to move. The tackle missed by Deacon. Bothero got hold of the next man, but then Willie Kahn steps out of the tackle, and the cover had run out. All the cover had come across on Kahn, and Shearer scores the try.
This is great work here by Chris Johns. You have a look. He steps out of Deacon's tackle here, and also Bothero fails to lock him up. A little Wayne Marshall there just missing a tackle, but too much cover going over to Willie Kahn and leaving Dale Shearer unmarked there.
Yes, all the cover attracted to Kahn, and that left the opening on the inside in similar fashion to the previous try scored by East, but good running there by Johns and Willie Kahn kicking out of the tackle. And notice Beecroft tried to flick the ball up here just as it's placed. Beecroft came across and with his arm tried to flick the ball up as Shearer really pulled up to put that one down. Madison with the conversion attempt, and it's good. Well, suddenly the Broncos have hit back. You can't relax for a moment against them. It's 16 points to 10 in favour of Easts.
Well, you can't let these fellas move the ball around. Good long pass from Walters. Johnsy did it when he tricked Deacon up. A nice offload too by Chris Johns. Wayne Marshall getting across there in courageous fashion, but 3 men on Khan and sent inside to Shearer. Lucky try.
Plowman off. So 16 points to 10. A game well and truly alive again. Salvatore's kick hanging up in the breeze for Shearer. John, what's the thinking with Salvatore kicking off? He doesn't seem to get great distance, a bit of height.
Well, he has it all week at training, Warren. He's the longest kicker in the club. That's why we've decided to use him. But that wind has freshened. Damn it.
Here's Renoff. Renoff got through. Renoff just ankle tap from behind by Beecraft. One of the few times we've seen Steve Renoff get the ball in his hands today. The Broncos have got a big back line. Miles on the burst. But a great tackle by McGahn. McGahn really had to get up there and make that because the Broncos had the overlap. Madison. They're keeping the ball alive. Donnelly. Tackled by Sinclair and loses it. Terry Hill has it. They won't want to hang off him.
No, East is starting to hang off in defence.
Wayne Bennett there.
It was try time if Dennis Beecroft doesn't make that ankle tack, John.
Yeah, gee, they're dangerous. I mean, we've been in front before too, and we seem to go to sleep a little bit, but we've got to keep it up.
Salvatore. Arthur, you were telling us about a time you were coaching East and you were well ahead at one point.
Well, this is going back a few years ago. In '87, we led them 14-0, the Broncos, at half-time, and we made too many mistakes in the second half. And I'm sure East said, don't want to squander this lead.
Penalty here going to Eastern Suburbs. Mark Hone underneath. Not clearing away. Another Bronco in there as well. 7-4 the penalties. Beecraft, who has been getting some length with his kicks for touch. This one just hanging up, only just fighting touch by 4 or 5 metres. Picks up 20 metres. Hall taking the tap. That's been the 5/8 job in this match, to take the taps. Nowhere for Sinclair to go. Only 25 metres out. Vorton, solid tackle. Coming in, hitting him well was Leman. On the blind side, Salvatore gets it away to Deacon. Salvatore, dangerous, likes to hunt down the blind side. Vorton again, one off the ruck. Out it goes to Hall. Vorton's playing an organising role now. Earlier on, some strong runs. Now he's often posted one off the ruck. Here he is again, working it wide. Cook, held by Walters and Hone. 20 metres out. Broncos defence preventing East going forward at the moment. Last tackle. Sherlock, the ball knocked down and regained there by Donnelly. Well done.
It's good work by Jim Donnelly there too, because he's leading the tackle count for the Broncos with 28.
Charge down, not a knock on, but here's a knock on now by the Broncos.
Once again, too many mistakes there. Michael Hancock, the culprit there. The head and the feed here going to... We'll have a look at this here. As Hancock takes his ball up, confronted by Brendan Hall, making the mistake there. Good work there by Dennis Beecroft, but making the mistake, Hancock, of jumping into the tackle.
A scrum win to East with Salvatore out wide. Vorton. Hill.
Could we see a field goal this early in the match?
Try to be better.
Here's Hill, only a few metres out. 5 metres out. The Roosters 6 points ahead as Sherlock has a run himself. Beecraft was there as well. Last tackle now against the Broncos, and it's 10 in the bin for Terry Madison. Professional foul for not getting off the tackle player. He held on just a fraction too long.
Well, it was the last tackle. I don't know whether it was a professional foul, but you have a look, his hand goes up here. They were organised, but, well, I don't think it was worth 10 minutes. You have a look at this here as Brett Leman makes a tackle, but rolls over Terry Madison there, and yes, he does try to slow the play of the ball. There's no marker there, so I suppose that did warrant 10 minutes in the sin bin. Of course, there's no 5 minutes now. It's all 10 minutes.
And as you point out, if it was the last tackle, there was very little to be gained.
No, there was one to go.
There was one to go, was there?
One to go on that one, Warren.
Well, it was on the last, that's what I'm saying. You know, he put his hand up at that.
Sherlock right in front. This is an important kick. He can stretch the lead to 8 points. And he's done it. So it's now Eastern Suburbs 18, the Broncos 10. 21 minutes remaining. John, just getting back to that scrum win by East a few moments ago. Salvatore standing out wide.
Yeah, Cookie went into the pack, and we had Big Sal standing at 5'8" to work off Brendan Hall.
Old Eastern Suburbs, Floyd, John, and you and I exchanged.
Yes, and wasn't that a change?
And here's Salvatore, the man in question, bringing the ball back. Hill. So the Broncos facing a deficit of 8 points. They're outside that converted try range. Sinclair, who's worked hard, leading the tackle count along with Beecraft with 20 tackles. Tassel is warming up. There's Renoff on Hill, centre on centre. 5th tackle. Sherlock popping a little one through. There's no one in behind the line. He regathers. Good work by Sherlock. Out to Beecraft now. It's the last tackle. Beecraft keeps it alive to Marshall. Marshall still going. They've got numbers here. McGowan for the line. And McGowan crashes over.
Oh, John Peard can't stop laughing.
All started by Kurt Sherlock's beautiful chip kick through. There was no sweeper for Brisbane, and they kept it alive from that point on. It's 22 points to 10 inside their own half. Deft little kick here by Sherlock. Caught it well on the bounce. Beecroft backing up well, keeps it alive. He knew it was the last tackle. Marshall really did sprint ahead. And there was McGowan with the line in his sights, and he crashes in between the wingers for the try.
We have a look. This is a beautiful kick here by Sherlock here, and he gets the right bounce here and pops the ball over the top. I wondered whether Beecroft knew it was the last tackle or not, but he spins out of a tackle. Michael Hancock should have locked him up there. And once again, Michael Hancock at fault here as he fails to lock him up there. So a good try there to Eastern Suburbs.
Hugh McGowan, the Eastern Suburbs captain. Last year he lost the captaincy for a short time, but he's doing the job again now and doing it well. Sherlock right in front. 2 more points to Eastern Suburbs. No joy for the crowd. So East in control at 24 points to 10.
Yeah, this is a case of good 6 tackle play. Kurt Sherlock sees there's no one behind the line. Great skill. Nice little pick up. He's got Salvatore with him. Chooses Beecraft. Beecraft knows it's a 6 tackle. He's a genius at getting away one-handed passes. He does so to Wayne Marshall. Little Marshall spots Huey and he sees daylight, and that's it. And they continue their rampage.
Salvatore bringing the restart back, met by Walters. So the Broncos really have the job ahead of them now. Down by 14 points. As a good ball slipped away to McGowan. Good pass from Prothero there. Gene Miles is off the field.
Broncos
must be concerned.
Yeah, well, the Broncos really falling off tackles now. We have a missed tackles there by Bronco 18. Surprisingly, East have got 14, but still the drop balls and the bad passes. They're starting to feel it.
A good kick by Sherlock. Looked as if it was going to find touch, but just took the turn away from the line. That still keeps the Broncos back on their own quarter. The forwards still coming back on side now. Langer. Walters. Johns. Pushing away from one. Johns still running strongly. He's really been a thorn in the side of East. Gilmister hit hard. Coming in heavily there to make the tackle was Tassel. Donnelly. Broncos are flat. Langer, Renoff. Trying to get outside Hill. Almost does it. He's very fast, Steve Renoff. Langer. Going to the line. Walters now. Kicking over the head of Prothero, but he gets the bounce. And G is back on the field. He had a short breather. And at 6 more tackles, G managed to get a boot on that ball as he tried to kick it through. Orr. Gavin Orr, try scorer. Tassel, Jason Tassel. McGahan's having a big game. Terry Hill now. He's all by himself as he takes on Hancock. Broncos defence a little threadbare out wide. Marshall steals down the blind side. Upended by Renoff. Sherlock. Hall. Still going, Brendan Hall.
Yeah, proving very difficult to handle, Brendan Hall.
32 metres out is the fifth tackle. Beecraft flings it back inside, knowing it's the last tackle. Here's Sinclair. He's got Beecraft inside him. Beecraft, another good ball. He really has got Gene Miles' arms, or at least he got it away on the last tackle, but the only man there was James Donnelly for Brisbane.
And Warren, a replacement in East, as Kevin Walters goes through a hole.
Walters taken by Sherlock.
Trevor Patterson, 45 on for Salvatore.
Penalty has gone to the Broncos. Sherlock tackling Kevin Walters.
Yeah, strange enough, probably he gave 10 minutes to Terry Madison in the sin bin. And have a look at it here. Walters gave Sherlock here, putting him down. A good tackle by Sherlock there as Walters tried to sprint through the hole there, but
only a few metres out, the Broncos with Hone. I think the difference was whether there was a try on in the case of the last tackle. Here's Walters moving it out wide to Johns. Back it goes to Kevin Walters. Shearer. Shearer standing. 15 metres out. The Broncos need a try here. It's Gilmister, but he's all by himself. There's no backup for him. Maybe a plan to take it towards the post, though. Langer wants it. Langer's looking for runners out wide. It goes to Hone. Back to LeMan. Quick passing out wide. G has left it behind. East have come up with it. The referee has ruled the knock on.
and probably could have only been a penalty there, as that ball was, one of the Broncos players was held back here. If you have a look here, the ball knocked down. They try to get the quick hands out, and Gavin Orr there pulling Andrew G out of the way there.
It's a scrum feed to the Broncos. Scrum screwing around, but the Broncos with 6 tackles on the quarter line. John's back inside. Tassel takes him. A lot of urgency now in both teams' play. Hancock. The Broncos need a try, and they need it right now if they're going to get back into this game. 14 minutes remaining. They're down by 14 points. LeMan up to centre. LeMan for the line, and LeMan has scored. But LeMan powering his way through. The defence a little soft in close to the ruck. LeMan pushed through 2 or 3 tackles, speared over between the posts. LeMan take it on the edge. He dummied inside Sinclair. A couple of players left grasping at him.
Well, we have a look here. Both the markers split. Sinclair and Trevor Patterson, they both split too early there, and he just cut back inside Bruce Sinclair. Have a look at Patterson going one way, Sinclair going the other, and a very simple try right up the middle of the ruck.
The defence didn't read the work of Brett LeMan there. Good try from the man off the bench. Scored the first Bronco try in the history of the competition as Shearer adds 2 more points. So it's East 24, the Broncos 16. They're still down by 8 points. There's 12 minutes remaining.
Well, very effectively done by Alan Langer. Brett LeMan splits our 2 markers, and of course Trevor Patterson being second marker, he should have held the spot. But great try of the Broncos. The pressure on East now.
East have the comfort of knowing that the Broncos need more than a converted try. They need 8 points as Andrew G is off again. "12 minutes 20 on the clock. As this time, it's not Salvatore kicking off.
John, it's a game that you appeared to have wrapped up probably a few times.
Yes,
Failed to go on with the
job. It's been our problem, Arthur.
Shearer.
It's been a performance of a lot of courage in there too, particularly by blokes like Sinclair and Marshall and McGahan.
There's Hugh McGann fighting for the loose ball. Madison's back on the field after being off for 10 minutes.
Here's Gilly there, and Dennis Beecroft going over the top there and trying to get up to play the ball, but Beecroft continuing on with the tackle.
Madison's kick 5's touch, just short of halfway. Donnelly steaming onto the ball, into the east half. Hone.
He's had a very good defensive game, Dennis Beecroft.
Gene Miles is on the field for the Broncos. They'll be looking to him. 10 metres inside east half. On the blind side, Kevin Walters. Johns. Back through the centre goes Johns. Miles now loses his footing just as he had support. Now he loses the ball. Easts have it. 6 tackles for Eastern Suburbs now.
He had the numbers on the outside there, Gino.
Yeah, we failed to move up both sides then, and you can pay for errors like that.
Hill. Well, it could be decisive that Miles lost his footing because he was looking dangerous and he had support. Miles makes the tackle on the halfway line. Played back by Patterson, out to Sherlock now. Last tackle. Hall will kick deep. East want to play it down the Broncos' end. Coming through is Orr. Willie Kahn comes back into Deacon, Orr and McGann. McGann getting through plenty of defence. Walters. Renoff has room to move as he takes on Hill. But Hancock didn't come back inside.
I think he just tried to make Hancock there, but he was drifting too far across as Hill covered them both.
Broncos have got a back line. Johns is through again. What a game he's having. Miles. Oh, but Miles' pass goes to McGann. That's 2 mistakes from Gene Miles in the last couple of minutes. Crucial mistakes.
I don't think McGann could believe his luck.
Chris Johns is really cutting him up in the centres.
Well, he certainly is, but they've got to play catch-up football now. There's still plenty of time to win this game or lose it.
9 minutes remaining. 24 points to East, 16 to the Broncos. As Sinclair takes it inside the Broncos 22.
I think you'll find Vaughton coming on again shortly, Warren. Probably for Patterson.
There is Trevor Patterson. It's the last tackle, 15 metres out. Sherlock comes to the blind side. He's got McGann there. Deacon goes back inside. Deacon slips a good ball away to Tassel. Tassel down. The ball lost on the goal line. In fact, it was Patterson losing the ball.
Well, he realised it was the last tackle there, and he was forced to try and pop that ball out the back door.
Shearer with a good run. And in the end, he only makes 10 metres upfield. Johns. A loss today is really going to hurt the Broncos. They're going to slip back into the middle of the ladder. Renoff on the outside of Hill. He gets there this time. Back inside is Hancock. Hancock, for my money, came back too far that time. Could have straightened up earlier. Donnelly. Gilmister. But get out the back. Here's another chance for Hancock. Over he goes. John's coming in. He wants the ball.
Paul Vaughton back on the football paddock.
Yeah, Beecroft off.
Beecroft still right up the top of the tackle counters. Alan Langer puts it through. Keeps it on the table, straight into the arms of Sherlock. Well, Easts are absolutely magic today with their hands. Oh, that must be the 4th time that a kick has been snapped out of the air by the East defenders. Now the penalty goes to Easts.
It's bad defence by the Broncos there. Mark Hone there struggling with the tackle player. There was no mark, and Willie Kahn just looked. It took him a couple of seconds to react, and the referee had no alternative but to give the penalty.
I started to say earlier in the first half that the Broncos' record this season hasn't been terribly impressive. Their 4 wins have been over the Gold Coast, Parramatta, Canberra when Canberra weren't travelling very well, and Manly in the first game of the season when Manly were without some of their players out injured. So those 4 wins, not over the strongest opposition. A loss today is really going to set them back. And in fact, the Broncos have lost their 2 Saturday games on ABC TV against St George and North. So this could be 3 out of 3 Saturday losses for the Broncos. Hall up the centre.
A very strong match, Brendan Hall also.
McGann, he'll probably try and keep the pressure on. They might think about a field goal, but I wonder whether they think it's better to just stay down this end of the field as McGann goes himself. Puts a little kick into the in goal, but there's no chasers. Renouffer's back there. He might get rounded up in that in goal area, and he has been. Great tackle by Orr and Terry Hill.
Yeah, Hugh McGann coming into his own here, and he just put that ball beautifully weighted. If we have a look here, just plenty of chasers there as they lock Renouf inside the in goal area. Almost a shepherd there also.
From the dropout, East only 15 metres out once more as it goes to Vaughton. Hall. Hall's looked dangerous whenever he runs. He's having a good season for the Roosters at 5'8". Patterson puts his head down. Gets it to 9 metres out. Marshall out of dummy half. He's been dangerous every time he has a go. Sherlock to the open side. Leman takes him. Last tackle, only a metre out. A try will seal it for the Roosters. Vaughton puts it through. It's off the toe. Vaughton's offside. Puts the kick over the back of his head in frustration. Walters with a quick tap. They're all offside. Hancock. Hancock away. Down the touchline. Hill comes across and makes a good tackle. They're 10 metres short of halfway. The clock has stopped at the 5-minute mark. Donnelly almost intercepted by McGann. Johns is off again. He's got Khan with him. Khan stretches out from halfway. He's got 2 men in front of him. One of them's Cook. Oh, he's taken out after he put the kick ahead. Vaughton back there in cover. But that's 10 minutes in the bin for Cook. A chance for the Broncos. Vaughton is down, injured. He's got the ball.
I just wonder whether we have a look at this on replay here.
They may take the quick tap. Khan should get on with it. They need to move it wide. Gene Miles has a go himself. They've got a huge overlap out wide. Miles should have spun it. Donnelly for the line. Donnelly 5 metres out in front of the posts. Walters goes himself. Langer. McGann like a basketballer trying to shepherd the ball down.
6 more.
Miles from dummy half. Got nowhere. Madison. The Broncos. A last-ditch attempt to try and get back into this match before it's too late. Gilmister, Hone. 10 metres out, the defence holds. Good tackle by Hall. Gilmister, dummying, up to Donnelly. But a great tackle by Vaughton. Ball and all, wrapped him up. It's the last tackle. Donnelly didn't play it correctly. He was marked by Vaughton.
Well, he wasn't marked. I don't think he's played the ball correctly, as you're saying. He doesn't release the ball here. Well, this is he's not directly in front.
Yeah, I suppose you're probably right. I mean, the ball, if he's not marked, he doesn't have to kick it out of the ruck. Here's the lead-up play with Cook taking out Khan after he puts the kick ahead.
Well, there wasn't much in that either.
Probably just enough to warrant a penalty. Tassel bringing it back upfield.
That was just about the ball game for them, Warren.
Yes, well, may have been a little unlucky there for Donnelly. And the Broncos were right on the attack. I suppose there's not much point in asking you, Johnny Peard, what you thought of the decision.
I thought he was harshly treated.
Donnelly.
Bruce Sinclair going off. Craig Salvatore coming back on.
So East just have to hang on to the ball now. There's 2 minutes remaining in the match. It's 24 points to 16 to the Roosters. Hancock. Renoff really hasn't had a big game at all today. He's been well contained.
You have to take your hats off to Terry Hill. I think he's had an outstanding game in defence.
Yeah, Terry Hill and Chrissy Johns have really put on a show today.
Shearer gets it out to Renoff. Now he gets down the touchline. Plenty of pace, kicking ahead. He'll win the race to the ball if he can gather. But he's left it behind. And he's come up with it through Marshall.
Well, they both went over that ball. This ball not landing in the in-goal area, and Renoff a little bit unlucky here. This is a beautifully weighted chip. Rubbert, you just have a look. He tries to pick that up. It just eludes him there. And also Dale Shearer there coming in behind. And
that's the first time we've seen Renoff's pace today. He just doesn't seem to have been in the right position at the right time to get many opportunities. So East now again just have to hold the ball. They've given the Broncos a few chances to try and get off the hook. Vaughton gives them another and kicks ahead. Silly football by Vaughton. He should have regathered the ball. Should have known better. Walters, Leman, Khan. Good tackle, Prothero, but it's kept alive to Walters once more. Time ticking down. Khan. Inside the final minute now. The Broncos can only really pick up a consolation try. Khan. Well, I suppose they had nothing much to lose by trying to keep it alive.
yeah, well, I suspect that Trevor Patterson might have called for that ball.
McGahn. It's going to be a courageous win by Eastern Suburbs. There's the siren. Well, if it's a costly loss for the Broncos, who slip back to mid-ladder, it keeps East's hopes alive of figuring in the 5 this season. East coming into the match in 13th place. They're in the middle of a big group of teams right in the centre of the table, and this keeps their chances alive of going on with it in 1991. Certainly an upset. Most people were tipping Brisbane, but the courage, the strength, the determination of East has won the game 24 to 16.